Today, I want to talk about a question that I have been asked quite a bit over the last several years. And it's from women that are in plus size bodies also. And they want to know how they can get to the place that I am, where I am totally comfortable in the skin that I'm in this fat body, and, how I'm just unapologetically fat. And sometimes I feel like, so the reason I wanted to talk about this is because sometimes I feel like if you have been following me on social media or, we've interacted in some ways, I feel like I have come across as putting the messaging out there that this journey was easy, that it all magically happened, back in 2018 when I attended this. Uh, like fat positive plus size yoga class, and the instructor, quote unquote, gave me permission to take up space just as I was, fat and all. And that's not the case. um, I had been doing some things prior to 2018, and that was just kind of the the tipping point that took me to the next extreme, where I decided to ditch diet culture and all that. But I wanted to say that, again, this has not been an easy journey. And even to this day, I do still have the days where I look in the mirror and I can nitpick every little thing, on my body. And I just like to remind myself that this is a journey, that it's okay if I have the days that I don't like my body. It's just all about having grace with myself and, just not staying stuck in that moment. So I do want to, you know, apologize if I have ever come across as making this sound like this is an easy journey and it's all about, if you would just change your mindset and love yourself more today, and just, keep loving yourself enough, that things are magically going to change, because that's not the case. And, when it is put out there that all you have to do is change your mindset and, learn to love yourself more, love yourself enough, that that's all it takes. And again, that is not true. And if I have ever, come across as sounding like that, that's what I'm saying. Again, I apologize, because when somebody does that to you when you are in a fat body, it basically is just kind of like they're pushing off your reality. Like they want to deny your reality of what it's like to live in a fat body. And I definitely, don't ever want to make somebody feel like that, because again, it's just kind of, trying to basically gaslight somebody and push off their reality, that, they don't deal with discrimination or, stigma about being fat. And that's just not true. So, all that to say that I wanted to apologize if I've ever come across like that, because that is the last thing that I want to do. Okay, so today I want to talk about this question, and I don't want to go into like this whole long winded backstory of, starting way back in whatever year this is what started, and, kind of do this like jumping through the years type thing. That's not what I want to do. Instead, I want to share with you three things that had to happen for this journey to take place. And when I'm speaking of this journey, I really am talking about from 2018 forward. So, okay, first, I should have probably already done this, but I wanted to share with you what fat phobia means. So, it's the fear, hatred, discrimination, and stigma against those of us that are in larger bodies. Okay, so now let me move on to those three things. So, the very first thing that I had to do was I had to accept that fat phobia probably was never going to go away in my lifetime. Sure, things can improve, things have improved, but it let's face it, it's probably just never going away. So I had to accept that reality. And the reason that this was so important and the first step for me was because once I could accept that reality, then it became about how I wanted to um, live in a fat body in a fat phobic world and how I wanted to respond. So that was the first important thing that had to happen for me. The second thing that happened for me was basically deciding to say, fuck you, diet culture, and F you to society and their bullshit beauty and body standards. And I had to just come to the realization that after all these years of, trying to do everything to shrink my body and it never doing anything to make me reach the point that I was quote unquote, acceptable by the bullshit body and beauty standards that society has. Um, just realizing that there wasn't anything wrong with my body. My body wasn't broken. It wasn't something that need fixed. Instead, it was, the messaging and um, everything going on around me in the world. So that was number two. The third thing that I had to do, and this by far was the hardest and still is one of the hardest things, was boundaries. I had to set boundaries with family and friends. And what I mean by having to set boundaries was I had to set this boundary that I would no longer tolerate or accept them making comments about my body or their, quote unquote, well meaning, you should try this diet. Oh, this diet has worked for me. Or, have you done this? Have you done that? I just was plain not tolerating it any longer. I made the decision that, my body is my body. My body is not up for discussion unless I say it's up for discussion. And, when it comes to family and friends, it's really hard to stick to boundaries. And like I said, this is something that I still struggle with. It's very hard to keep a boundary in place when I have so many family and friends that are choosing to, diet and seek weight loss. So it's just this weird, I'm not even sure what I'm trying to say. It's just kind of this weird thing that, how do I stick to my boundary when I have friends that are doing everything that I so disagree with? Um, but still loving and caring about them and wanting to support them, in what they're doing in their life. So, yeah, the boundary thing is hard. Now, the other boundary had to come with strangers. And this stems from, I have dealt with so many strangers commenting on my bodies from, the group of boys when I was at the beach who were playing this game of as women walked by, they would, it was beached whale or beached babe. So, them commenting about me being a beached whale and, my blubber and all that. Or from the lady in a Ross clothing store that told me because I had a tank top on and, my arms were flabby and jiggly that I should not wear that and that I should cover it up because nobody wants to see that. I mean, I could go on and on and on and tell you the discrimination and the fat shaming that I have dealt with over the years, but that's not what this is about. So, having to set boundaries for strangers, and again, just choosing that if somebody made a comment about my body, that I was not going to tolerate it, that I was going to and deciding how I wanted to respond to that. For the most part, I've done pretty well with, dealing with this with strangers and being fairly calm about it. And sometimes it's just simply a My body is my body. It is not your, um, it's not for you to, discuss. It's not for you to worry about. Uh, in the case of social media and what I like to call keyboard warriors, the ones that are concerned about my health. Um, in this case, sticking to this boundary of not letting them comment about my body has been challenging. And I have not always handled this with grace. I a lot of the time I have been calm, and I would either try to engage in a real conversation with them about, why they felt the things that they felt and try to share with them, my perspective and why I do the things that I do. That never went over well. And then there was the times where I just chose to delete their comments and not even engage with them. But then there's been the times that mm, have not been so nice. There was, I don't even know if it's still a thing, but people were calling it, clapping back at a troll. And I kind of laugh about this, but it was, I did not handle the situation the best, but I find it humorous today. I had one of those keyboard warriors on Instagram, and he was arguing with me about, again, being concerned with my health because I was fat and blah, blah, blah. Um, and I don't remember, I want to say he was talking about, again, my flabby arms. And I was in this mood that day, and he just got under my skin, and I ended up, oh man, I I made this video and whatever his username was, I called him out in the video and I was like, if this, you think this is disgusting and gross and you don't want to see it, well, let me show you something else. So I like lifted my shirt up and, I was like jiggling my belly, and then I, lifted my leg up and was like slapping my thighs. And again, not my proudest moment, but I laugh about it today. All that to say that boundaries is really important. Um, so those were the three things that I feel like were the most important in enabling me to be able to, really embark on this journey to get to the point where I am today. It was so much more than having to change my mindset because, again, you can't just it's just not all about mindset. There's just a whole lot of things that have to, in my opinion, take place in order to be able to get to the place that I am, where I am comfortable and confident in my fat body. And I do love my body and I take up space unapologetically in this fat phobic world that says that I shouldn't exist. So, the main takeaway that I want to leave you with today is that I just want to encourage you. If I can do this, you can too. And if you need support or you just want somebody to talk to, please reach out because I would really love to chat with you.